encourage you to call or text 1737. There are extra staff available. That number to call or text again is 1737, and that line is available to anyone, whether they've been directly involved in these incidents, whether they're residents or Christchurch or not, anyone in New Zealand who's feeling any kind of distress. The police are aware of distressing material relating to this event being online and are reminding people it is an offence to distribute objectionable material. I want to touch briefly on activity to date and the response that occurred yesterday. So just to recap, police immediately secured the areas involved and ensured that people were kept safe, including schools and offices being locked down. Police made arrests swiftly, and as I've said, a man will appear in court this morning. Defence specialists quickly moved to assist police to make the improvised explosive devices safe. I want to make special mention of those who are involved in both the parts of the operation involving disarming explosive devices, but also undertaking the arrests themselves. Many of you may have seen the footage of the arrests, and I can only describe it as an act of bravery on behalf of all New Zealanders, and an act that showed very little regard for their own personal safety. I'm sure everyone in New Zealand wants the acknowledgement of the police, but particularly the police officer who made that critical arrest yesterday. I also want to acknowledge ambulance staff who many will have seen acting swiftly under horrific conditions, and all medical staff who continue to work with those who are injured. New Zealand Defence Force at Burnham Camp yesterday were put on standby to assist police in Christchurch. Mosques around the country were provided with advice from police to help keep them secure and advice to remain closed. This advice continues, as does the police presence at mosques around the country. The national threat level was raised to high, and that remains. This triggers a number of actions to help keep people safe, such as increased aviation and border security. A number of specialist family liaison staff were deployed. Close liaison has been established with the Muslim community and other key people in Christchurch. Police and the wider government will be working with leaders and members of the Islamic community to provide assistance, reassurance and support. An 0800 number established to register missing persons, 0800 115019, and a website, Restoring Family Links. MFAT are acting as a liaison point for foreign governments. Consular representation for any foreign nations involved is being provided. At this stage, we understand those involved include Pakistan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Bangladesh, Indonesia and Malaysia. MFAT staff are dealing with offers of assistance and, of course, receiving a significant number of condolence messages. Deputy Commissioner Māori and Ethnic Services Wally Homaha has travelled to Christchurch alongside 15 additional ethnic liaison officers to support the community. These specialists will work alongside local staff to support the families involved. They are assisting to repatriate them with their loved ones in a way that is consistent with Muslim beliefs, while taking into account these particular circumstances and obligations to the coroner. I want to finish by saying that while the nation grapples with a form of grief and anger that we have not experienced before, we are seeking answers. After this media conference, I will board a Defence Force plane and travel to Christchurch. I will have other political leaders with me, including the leader of the opposition. As is the entire nation, we are all unified in grieving together.
Prime Minister, specifically, what changes would you like to see? The gun laws, where did they fail?
Well, obviously, as I've said, that's a chain of events that we are currently analysing. But the mere fact, when people, of course, hear that this individual was acquired a gun licence and acquired weapons of that range, then obviously I think people will be seeking change, and I'm committing to that.
And also travelled to Pakistan after getting that gun licence and returning to New Zealand, the more we learn about this person, the harder it is to understand why he wasn't on the radar of our intelligence agencies. Was there a failure of our intelligence agencies?
Again, I reiterate that this individual was not on the radar of either Australian intelligence agencies or New Zealand intelligence agencies. Yes, he'd travelled to a range of countries, sporadically been in and out of New Zealand for periods of time, but I've asked on Monday to reconvene all those agencies who will be able to piece together the nature of that travel, the sequence of events in terms of obtaining gun licences, and then shortly thereafter, the gun licence was obtained in November 2017. The purchasing of weapons began in December 2017. So obviously a sequence and chain of events there that began some time ago, but those are all issues that we are seeking answers around.
Are there any white supremacists on our terror watch list, or have we been too focused on Islamic extremists?
As I've said, that given the rise of extremist views by those who hold ideology that I can only describe as violent and extreme, our agencies here in New Zealand have stepped up the work that was being done in that area. But again, that did not result in this individual being on any kind of watch list.
How concerned are you about rhetoric around the Global Migration Compact? How concerned are you that has fueled?
If you look at my comments at the time, I have always been concerned about that kind of rhetoric, but everyone should be. Rhetoric of racism, division, extremism has no place not only in New Zealand, but I would say in a society as a whole.
What message do you have to the community members who might be angry and who might be thinking about retaliation or other such actions?
I don't think that is in keeping with their values. I know that they have questions. Those are questions that we are directly asking agencies. We are all working together to get those answers as quickly as we can. And as I said in my opening statements, if there was any suggestion that these individuals should have been known to us, we are looking into that as we speak. Our duty was to keep everyone who is in New Zealand and calls New Zealand home safe. That has not occurred here, so questions must be answered.
Did you attack hold the correct category of gun licence for the firearms you used in the attack?
That is my understanding.
That seems to be an incredibly high threshold, or a specialised category. So how is it that you could get a licence like that for semi-automatic weapons?
My understanding is he held a Category A gun licence, and again, I preface this that my advice currently is that he, under that gun licence, was able to legally acquire the guns that he held. That will give you an indication of why we need to change our gun laws.
Can you tell about your conversation with
Yes, sorry, Benedict.
Would you like to see semi-automatic weapons banned?
That's certainly one of the issues that I'm looking at with immediate effect. I've asked for advice yesterday on all of these questions.
Would you consider a buyback program like in Australia?
Again, a bit too early for me to say at this point. But again, as soon as New Zealanders hear that someone was legally able to acquire, as I'm advised, those weapons and carry out this event, that will raise enormous questions with our gun laws, and that is why we will respond swiftly.
What about guns?
All right, we are coming out of that press conference with the Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern. Just to recap her message today, 49 people